Hello and welcome to the first episode of Zebra Reads. This is the About episode, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what this is all about and who I am. My name is Brandy, and I am going to be the one that does these recordings, hopefully every week. It'll become a regular thing. I want to start just by talking about what Zebra Reads is and how it was conceived of. So many years ago now, I had a couple of small children who were moving into their preteen, teen years, and they were readers, but at that time, I really wanted them to make sure that they were reading books from authors and with characters that had portrayals of diversity beyond just the sort of white Western heteronormative norms that they had pretty much grown up in. And so as I was spending some time trying to find books that would reflect diversity for my children, I began to realize that I actually had a pretty standard genre type of book that I like to read, and it was fairly Western, white, heteronormative. And so I thought, I really need to practice what I preach, I guess, and also try to diversify a little bit. And so I started to think about a way that I could find books that would not be ones I would generally pick up, but in a way that was sort of systematic. So what I did first was I went to just Barnes & Noble. I was at the bookstore and I went to Barnes & Noble and I went to the fiction section, and the fiction section is alphabetical by author. And so I decided I was going to go to the very end of the fiction section, and I was going to pick the last book there no matter what it was, no matter who the author was. So it was in the Z's, and that was the next book I was going to read. Like it or hate it, I was going to read this next book. And so I did, and I started sort of regularly doing that. I'd pick up a book here and a book there, and it was slow, but I realized that I had to just keep moving forward. I couldn't move back. So even if a new book came in that I hadn't read, I didn't go back and get it. I realized I could really only read one book per author, or I'd be on the same author for years and years and years. So I just sort of slowly, once in a while, would go in, say, okay, what's the next author in line, and grab that book. Around that time, same time, maybe a little later on, actually, Les Mis came out, the movie, and then the play was really big, and my mom really loved it. She really enjoyed both the play and the movie, and so she decided she wanted to read the book. And she had called me up and told me how great this book is and how much she loved this book. And I had actually never read it, which is, I like to read classics. And so I thought, oh, that's cool. I haven't read that yet. That's one I need to read. So I put it on my list and I started reading it. And I got really bogged down in all of the detail. And that was the detail that she really loved. And I didn't really enjoy reading that book at all, and then she just really loved that book. And so I began to think about other instances in which people have recommended books to me that I just haven't really liked, and I'm sure vice versa. I know, I love Harry Potter. You'll hear me talk about it, I'm sure, in the future. Love Harry Potter. I've read all of the books multiple times. My children have read them. I've read them to my children. And my mom read them, obviously, because I loved them so much and they were a big thing. And so she read them and she just finds them to be meh, okay. She didn't hate them, but she didn't really find them to be all that great. So I began to think about how these two sort of ideas could come together. And that's where Zebra Reads comes in. So what I sort of envisioned was a way, and was sort of a reading rainbow for adults, right? I'm reading these books. I'm trying to do it to force myself to get out of my genre, to get some diversity going. I don't love all of these books that I'm reading. In fact, I dislike many of them, but maybe there's some that I'm reading that other people would really enjoy. They just haven't picked it up because they don't know it's there, or maybe the cover doesn't quite look like what they'd like, because I've been really surprised by some of the books that I've read that I thought, oh, I'm gonna hate this, and I actually really enjoy it, and then vice versa, like, oh, I think I'm really gonna like this book, and then I don't really. So I was trying to figure out a way in which I could combine these ideas of, I'm doing this anyway. How can I tell people about these books and see if maybe there's something they might want to read? And perhaps get some diversity out to some other people as well. And so Zebra Reads is what I came up with. And the zebra is because I'm moving from Z to A. And it took me a long time to figure out how I wanted to do this. I've been thinking about this for probably 10 years now. Do I want to just do a website? Do I want to do a podcast? Do I want to do a vlog? Who's actually going to watch it? Nobody. So I finally just decided I wanted it to be informal. I don't want fancy editing. I do follow some people on social media and I really like their videos and they're very professional and I'm very impressed by them, but I really would like this to be more of a I'm not anybody special kind of a thing. I'm not trying to be fancy, and I have no expertise. I'm not a historian, I'm not a researcher, I'm none of those things, and I just want to tell you about a book that I read and maybe you would like it too, or maybe not. So I don't know that anybody will ever watch any of these, but it's a way that I can get them out. Maybe my mom will watch them. Hi, Mom, love you. Say hi to Daddy. But for me, it's just a way to put out to you that I've read this book and here's what I thought about it. So in the spirit of trying to improve diversity in my own reading and that sort of thing, what I will do with these reviews is I will first talk about the authors a little bit so that you can get a sense of place and culture and who they were and why they were writing what they were writing. And then I'll just talk a little bit about the book, sort of back cover synopsis, what I thought of it, neither here nor there, but then some thoughts about, what were some things that stood out to me that people might like, and then some things that people may not want to engage in. Again, with a focus on and an emphasis on trying to read books that aren't necessarily something I would have picked up in the past, and maybe getting other people to do the same. So, assuming there's people out there, I would love, besides my mom, but my mom too, if you've read the book that I'm talking about in any episode, I'd love comments on it. Especially, I liked it because of this. I think other people might like it because of this, because obviously I'm not gonna know all of those things. But informal conversations, with an emphasis on accepting diverse opinions and not using language that is marginalizing. And so any comments like that, I'll just delete. But otherwise, I welcome people saying, yes, I've read this book, I really liked it for this reason, or I also read this book and this part bothered me, just be careful, or whatever. So that's it. That's the premise of Zebra Reads. That's what I'm going to do. I'd like to be able to do about one of these a week. Most of them will be from the fiction section. However, I've got some from other, sections of the bookstore that, Western or romance or mystery that I just went and grabbed, that I might add to. But I'll focus mostly on moving from the very end of the alphabet forward. And of course, I'm never going to finish this. I'll probably never get to A, but in the meantime, it's a journey, and I am happy for anybody to come along here and there. So that is all, and I hope to see you in the next video.